Part 1. Decide if the statement is true or false. If it is false, fix it into the correct. Public art is found in outdoors. Public art becomes more popular. 3. Pop art is usually realistic. 4. Spoon Bridge and Cherry is an everyday thing. Create notes and retell your own notes. But public art can be found outdoors. Art makes it beautiful. Pop artists likes to make things from everyday things into art. Art can be interpreted differently. The woman is in the sculpture is a symbol piece. The piece is called surrealism. The, the, the piece is called realism. The gun art is surrealism. Gun tied to a knot which symbolizes peace. The last two sculptures symbolize peace. Public art can make cities beautiful and promote police and concept. Good morning, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed our trip to the art museum last week. Today we're going to talk about modern art, public art to be specific. Explain what it is, then mention some of the examples to illustrate pop art, realism, surrealism. As you know, public art is getting more and more popular. Cities like to put public art for a couple of reasons. First is to make the cities more beautiful and interesting. The second is because public art are plenty outdoors. Then people can enjoy this art with going into an art museum. Now I'm going to give you some examples. A silver spoon and red cherry is 29 feet wide and 50 feet long. It's made of steel and aluminium. It's painted silver and bright red to look like cherry, that's on spoon. This sculpture is an example of pop art. Pop artists like to make art popular. Things from everyday life. These artists like to take common objects such as food. So what do you think about it? I think it's great. It's really unusual. I like it because it's simple and easy to understand. Yes, that's why people like pop art. And else, yes, smart. Well, I think it's okay. But I think art that's out in public should be something important, something that means something. It shouldn't be just a spoon. Interesting point. So we can see that problem is that different people interpreted the art differently. Maybe I understand a piece of art or they may not like it at all. Anyways, another purpose of art is to illustrate ideas or concept. It's the first artists can send a message to their art for people to see. To give you an example, a sculpture is a symbol piece. It's a large 16-foot tall metal sculpture. It shows a young woman and horse. If you notice, the sculpture is quite real, hence why it's called realism. Let's take a look at another sample. It's also made of metal and looks like a gun. It is about 6 feet wide and 13 feet long. It looks like a gun with a knot tied at the end. A gun may not symbolize peace, but it does because it's tied to a knot and therefore it can be fired. Part 2, answer the questions below. What is the main topic of the story? Uncle Jeff babysits Jemima and Jeremy while their parents are gone. Who are the characters in the story? Mom and Dad, Jeremy and Gemma, Auntie Jane, and Uncle Jeff. What's the problem that happened? What is the problem that happened in the story? Uncle Jeff had to take care of the kids while their parents were gone. Mention the characteristics of Uncle Jeff. He likes gun and travels fast. Create notes and retell them with their own words. Mom and Dad are going to Paris for their anniversary. Auntie Jane forgot about kids and went away. Uncle Jeff has a red sports car. They broke Dad's car. Uncle Jeff drove fast. They shot a bunch of gully pigeon. Uncle Jeff took kids to a Turkish kebab restaurant for lunch. They got locked out of their own house. Jeremy had to climb the roof but fell. They had the police called on them. They made carrot cake and bought flowers from mom and dad. Jeff was never asked to look after kids again. It was mom and dad's 12th anniversary, which meant that they had been married for 15 years. To celebrate, dad was taking mom away for a long weekend to a romantic location. The children, Jeremy and Gemma, were going to stay with Auntie Jane. Only Auntie Jane was a bit forgetful, and she forgot all about her promise to look after her sister's children and also arrange to go out this weekend, so she couldn't look after kids. Well, I guess I can ask Jeff, said Dad. No, not Jeff, said Mom. But as it turned out, there was nobody else but Jeff to be found at such short notice. Jeff was Dad's bird. The children had seen him since they were very small. The mom called him the wicked uncle because he also get their birthdays. I bet he's really horrible, said Gemma. Mom really, Mom really doesn't like him at all. I think he went to prison, or perhaps was a part, said Jeremy hopefully. But when Gemma asked Dad if Uncle Chef had been to prison, Dad said no, he hadn't. At least not first. Not as he knew, but he didn't say it like he was surprised, she had asked. I mean, if somebody asked you if somebody knew had been to prison, you might at least try some bit surprised. Uncle Jeff arrived late on Friday night, and in the morning, when Jeremy looked out the window, he saw a red sports car parked and drive next to Dad's big blue SUV car. A taxi came up very early to pick up Mom and Dad, taken to the airport. Later, Gemma and Jeremy got up and made their own breakfast. But Jeremy didn't eat his at the kitchen table like he was supposed to. Instead, still in pajamas, he took his toast and jam to the living room and switched on the television. You know, Mom doesn't like to watch TV on Saturday mornings because they only show rubbish, said Gemma. Well, Mom isn't here. She's having a nice time with Dad, said Jeremy. I bet Uncle Jeff would take it off, said Gemma. At about 10 o'clock, Uncle Jeff came into the living room and made gun and explosive noises. Jeremy looked up at him in amazement. I've never said anything like that. Excuse me, kids, said Uncle Jeff. I need a cup of strong black coffee before starting my morning. Now, where's the kitchen? Oh, I'm here, Uncle Jeff, by the way. And he disappeared down the corridor. A little later, he returned and asked, well, what are you going to do today? Homework, said Gemma. And Uncle Jeff said, boring. What's the world coming to? Don't kids take up get up to any mischief? Let's go and buy some computer games, suggested Jeremy. Could do, but I had something a bit more outdoors in mind. Come on, get dressed and I'll take you on a surprise treat, said Uncle Jeff. Then they all got into that estate car. Jeremy was supposed to be strapped into a child seat for safety, but they asked Chico, can I drive? And Uncle Jeff said, well, all right, but only on the driveway. Gemma said, protested that her little brother didn't know how to drive a car. Well, Uncle Jeff said it was never too, but Uncle Jeff said it was never too late to learn, and he let Jeremy sit up on his lap and hold the steering wheel. But as Jeff was starting the engine, Jeremy removed the gear stick, and the car moved forward with a loud crunching noise. There was a burning smell, and smoke started to come out of the hood. Oops, there goes the clutch, said Uncle Jeff. I don't think the niece is going to be too pleased. Just don't say anything and we're good. We'll just think there's something to the mom room car. Well, what shall we do now? Can we go in the sport car? Asked Jeremy. Well, so long as I drive, said Uncle Jeff. And they all got out and went over to Uncle Jeff's car. It was very cramped in the back seat, even for the children. And there certainly wasn't room for Jeremy, uh, for Jeremy's safety seat. He reversed up the drive at quite a pace and soon was soaring down the street. All the neighbors must have heard them. But then Uncle Jeff turned on loud music and opened the sunroof. His self-driving was not like at all like that. He zipped in and out of traffic and went to lights just as they were turning from orange to red. Jeremy thought he was an irresponsible driver, but she didn't say anything because that would be polite. Can we go faster, Uncle? Said Jeremy. And Uncle Jeff put his foot on the pedal and they went even faster. It took them out of town and down the old carriageway until the sunshine. Eventually, he turned up to what looked like a farm track. A sign read clay pigeon shooting. When they stopped and got out of the car, Uncle Jeff opened up the little boot and took out a long leather pouch. Jeremy realized there was a gun inside. Ooh, can I hold it? He asked. The Uncle Jeff said, maybe. Clay pigeons are real pigeons, but this that are shot out of a machine can fly through the air. You're shooting, you try to salvage the disc, but it's extremely difficult to hit a moving target. Uncle Jeff made sure that Jeremy and Jemima wore ear protectors because gunfire is really loud and can make you deaf. He also had to wear goggles in case a bit of clay flew in their eyes. They stood in the field. He, they stood. They, they stood in the field, and Uncle Jeff called pull. Clay pigeon flew out of the bunker. Uncle Jeff smoothly followed the target with his gun and pulled out the trigger. There was a loud bang and a smell of gunpowder in the air. He missed, but he called out another pull again, and another target flew through the air. This time he hit it and clay smashed into pieces. The German back had to go, and Uncle Jeff showed him how to hold the shotgun in the middle so that it couldn't go off by accident. And then he showed him how he hold it in the front position so that its kick wouldn't hurt his shoulder. The shotgun was almost as big as Jeremy, but he thought that holding it was the coolest thing ever. Pull, he shouted, and the pigeon flew through the air, followed and squeezed the trigger. The gun went boom, and it jumped as if it had a life on its own. Jeremy missed by a mile, but he was very excited. But and then as soon as Uncle Jeff had pulled a new catcher in the bell, he called pull again, and another pigeon flew through the air, and he missed one more time. In fact, however many times tried, Jeremy couldn't hit the target. And then Jemima had to go. She was still good at shooting. She smashed the target about 4 or 5 times. They were on stress. But then doing homework, eh? He said as they squished back into the car, into his car. Jeremy and Jemima thanked their uncle for the treat. It was really cool, said Jeremy. Well, it was fun, but I don't think you should have taken us clay pigeon shooting. And asking mom that. How do I know? I didn't ask her, said Uncle Jeff, she would almost certainly have said no. By the way, please drive more slowly, carefully. There are children back. You're the responsible adult. Uncle Jeff slowed down and promised to drive carefully. And Gemma felt better because she realized that safety was more important than being polite or worrying about causing offense. When they got back to town, Uncle Jeff took them to a Turkish kebab restaurant for lunch. And Jeremy tried hot chili sauce, which burned his mouth. He had to eat loads of ice cream afterwards to cool off. But when they got back to the house, Uncle Jeff searched in vain through his pockets for the front door key, and then he realized that he must have got mixed up with his own from home. They were locked out. Is there a way in the back? He asked, and they tried the side gate and found that it was open. The French doors at the back were firmly closed, but there was a window open just above the extension that had been added to the back of the house only last year. That's a pity. I think I'm too happy to climb onto the roof, said Uncle Jeff. Oh, but I can, said Jeremy. And since there was no other way into the house, Uncle Jeff agreed to lift Jeremy up onto the roof onto the porch. He started to scramble up towards the window, but when he got to it, he found that the window was stuck and he couldn't get it open more anymore. But there was a higher window that was fully open. And Jeremy thought that he might be able to climb up to that one by but climb up to that one by getting up on top onto the garden wall. Oh no, that's too dangerous, said Uncle Jeff. But Jeremy didn't listen. He was on top of the garden wall, and now he was trying to stretch across the high window, but stretch was too far and he didn't make it. He fell down to the roof of the porch. The extension of the house hadn't been made with value by the builders, and Jeremy went straight through the roof of the sunroom. He lay on top of Mom's tomato plant. Oh, oh, said Jeremy. Oh dear, said Jeff. I don't think Mom can be pleased. Noisy neighbors saw what had happened, called the police. He told them, it's the boy who just got into the roof and a man holding what can only be a gun. And there's Celeste too. She looked real mean. What makes you say? What makes you say it looks like? What makes you say it looks? It's a gun, sir? Asked the policeman. Well, I was in the army for 15 years. I think I know what a gun would look like, said the neighbor. It wasn't often that people with guns started breaking houses in the area. In fact, Jeremy and Jemima lived on one of the sleepiest and most peaceful streets you could imagine. But the police officer who took the call sent an armed response unit just to be on the safe side. It took Jeremy a few minutes to get over the shock falling through the roof. He wasn't badly hurt, but he had cut and bruised himself and he had earth in his hair. He looked quite excited. The police car screeched up the drive just as it was letting Uncle Jeff and Gemma into the front door. Armed police officers, freeze, said the policeman. And Uncle Jeff said, don't shoot, I've got a license for his gun, said Uncle Jeff. Gemma and Jeremy spent the rest of the day at the police station. Gemma and Jeremy were allowed to stay in the waiting room at a policeman and a policewoman staying on either side of them. They weren't allowed to talk to each other. Uncle Jeff was taken down to the cells before being interviewed. He gave them his brother's phone number, but since Mom and Dad were in Paris on a on a romantic weekend, had both turned their mobile phones off for the day. It was 10 o'clock at night before they managed to persuade the police that they were a gang of criminals that could go home. On Sunday, they all got up rather late. Oh, what should we do? Asked Uncle Jeff. Homework, said Jemima. And Jeremy agreed and that they both needed to do their homework. After that, Jemima asked Jeff if they could make a carrot cake. They put one of Mom's recipe books out, and they all did the mixing and making. The result wasn't too bad. Then they went out and bought home some flowers to install for Mom and Dad. And they read books and went to bed at 7 o'clock. Well, I think my god uncle has an important role to play in upbringing of every child. We won't forget this weekend in a hurry. I've set the kids a great example of how not to behave, said Uncle Jeff. Only enough, Mom and Dad never asked them to look after kids for the weekend again. Part 3. Did you ever hear of the pot of gold hidden at the end of the rainbow? Some people think it's there now, but they're mistaken. A long time ago, somebody found it. How he happened to it, how he happened to find it, nobody knows. A great many people have searched in vain and have never even been able to discover that the venue has ends at all. The man who found it was very selfish and did not want anybody to know, for fear they might want some of his money. So one night he put it in a bag which he slung off his shoulder and walked across the fields toward a thick wood where he meant to hide it. And the bag was something beside gold, something so small that the greedy man in his hurry had not noticed it. There was a hole, and as he walked on, one by one the gold fell out into the grass. When he reached out the wood and found all Smite's gone, he hurried back to search for it. But something strange had happened. It was midsummer night, and the fairies were having a dance up in the meadows. So they were good, loving little people and despised selfishness above everything. One of the fairies spied the glittering gold among the grass. She had seen the greedy man passing by and knew he would soon be back to hunt for his treasure. It will do him no good, she said. If he has away, and neither will help him, and neither will help anyone else. I will change into I'll change it into something that will give joy to the rich and poor. When the greedy man reached the meadow, he could see no gold money, but in place were bright yellow flowers, bare cup cold for the children.